started definitely having gut issues. That was the very first thing that I went to the doctor for. I was going to Western medicine doctors, and at the end of the day, they're like, you're fine, you're normal, I don't know, you need to, maybe you're depressed. Maybe it's in your head. The diagnosis they gave me was IBS, and they pretty much said, well, there's not really anything we can do for that. We don't have any, medicines, or we don't have anything to help. I had really bad IBS for, I'd say, 12, 13 years. Never changed. I was at a point where I had really felt like I had one foot in the grave. I just had these visions of people over top of me shoveling dirt in on top, and that I was going to get buried alive way before my time. I'm like, I'm in my 30s and I should be feeling good, and I feel like I'm 80-some and I'm, on my last legs, and I was so frustrated. Western medicine wasn't serving me, wasn't helping me, wasn't getting me what I needed. And so I decided I would hire as many naturopaths as I could possibly think, and I hired them in different discipline areas. I went to an IBS clinic and I specifically hired a doctor there. I went to a female hormone clinic and I hired 3 different doctors there. And then I went to a general naturopathic clinic and I hired 2 different doctors there. So I had a total of basically like 6 on board, yeah. And magically and thankfully, one of them actually tested me at the general clinic, of all places, for this gene MTHFR. It was back in 2011. That was when nobody was really talking about it or had heard of it or knew what it was. It was all about folate deficiency, and she had studied it because she just recently had a child. I was like, well, okay, I'll take it. I was really disbelieving that it was going to do anything at all for me. I eventually built up to the dose that she asked me to take, and it was probably after maybe 4 or 5 days of taking it, I noticed a pretty radical difference in my just daily life. I'm like, wow, I feel so much better. I feel lighter. I feel like I have so much more energy. I feel like I don't have as much weighing me down in terms of, I just felt like I had a lot of, muscle pain, and I was really starting to shift, I would say, mood-wise. And I didn't think of myself as a depressed person, but I realized that when the mood shifted, I was like, oh wow, I just feel so much better. And I had the wherewithal, I wanted to test my serotonin levels before I started taking it. Had those tested, they came out at like 85. 125 to 185 is the normal range. And then 3 months later, I wanted to test again because I wanted to see how it was changing, because I felt radically different in my body and I was pretty sure it would show up on the test, but I also thought, well, if I don't test it, how are we going to know? And how can I tell anybody what's happened if I don't test it? So I went ahead and had it tested, and it came back at 136. So I was totally in normal range at that point, and I was just kind of ecstatic, and also felt like, yeah, this is very validating. The science of the test is saying what you feel is really true and really happening. And then it was probably a period of about 6 to 9 months later that all of a sudden I realized, somebody asked me to go out somewhere and I didn't even think twice about it. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. And I realized normally I wouldn't be able to just, oh yeah, let's do that, because it would be all about my stomach and where's my stomach at, and is my stomach going to be able to make a trip out, or how will I feel? And I was trying to remember back when it stopped, and I couldn't think of an exact date when it stopped, or it wasn't as radical as sort of the mood shift. But I think what had happened is it had just slowly, kind of over time, gotten better, and I no longer considered myself having IBS. Like, it literally, I would say, cured me of that. And it just felt like a miracle to me. Like, it was such a radical time of thankfulness to be able to be in my body again and feel like it was a home, as opposed to this place that I always wanted to escape from, because it always had so much pain and I just felt so miserable in. It felt like a body that I could start planning a life again in, and thinking about what would it be like to do the next things that I want to do. I had stopped dreaming about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be, and I was just living in this world of how do I survive day to day. And I got to move to this more proactive place where I could imagine, what do I want to be next? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And traveling became something that was exciting for me, and started to do more of that. I kind of made it a thing where I wanted to visit different beaches around the world because I love the water and I love the beaches. So it was just a beautiful time of just being so grateful that in my body things just started to kind of move back to more of a homeostasis, more of a balance, more of a place where I could be me. In the very beginning, methylfolate was only available at the high dose level in a prescription form, and no insurance companies were covering it, and so it was really expensive. It was a few $100s for a 90-day supply, and it was just not sustainable. So I asked him one day, I was like, could I just make a folate tablet with the right forms, the right amounts? And he said, well, I don't know why you couldn't. And I really just made it for me in the beginning. And I was like, well, it's gonna be expensive because I'm gonna have, 8 years worth of product. So I don't know if that makes sense, but why not try it? And then I'll see if other people wanna buy it. And if other people want to buy it, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I'll sell some to them and we'll just sell enough to basically pay for the effort. And, I was still at the time working in the high-tech field and industry, and so I just was kind of doing it on the side. But people started looking to it. The doctor that I had worked closely with was actually really impressed with the supplement that we made, the quality, and also the fact that it didn't have the dyes, the allergens, the fillers that the pharmaceutical did, that he actually was using it with his family. What I really try to do is use my time to research what are additional nutrients that people can use that will help support this journey that I've kind of started with folate, and that I know they're starting with folate, and really just try to focus on holistic health as well. Because methylfolate's not a cure-all, it's not the only thing for everybody, and I'll be the first to say that's not true. I will say for many it will be a game changer, and it's not going to be the thing that turns every dial. So how do you keep looking and keep finding the nutrients that you need to fuel and power your life force, to its greatest? There's nothing more that lights me up inside and makes me feel purposeful about what I'm doing on this planet than helping other people feel good and move past a health crisis that they're, trying to navigate. For me, that changed my life, and when I can provide some kind of nutrient or help or encouragement, or even just point them in a direction that might be changing incrementally, even if it's just 10% improvement, right? Every little bit that you can give to someone, I think, is what I'm here for, I feel like, on the planet.